What's up, guys? Welcome to the 3&D podcast. This is Dylan.
And this is Owen. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at 3&D Podcast. That is 3&D_podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3&D Podcast. That is 3&D Podcast. Welcome to the first episode. Today we're going to talk about the draft lottery, Kawhi Leonard, and the future of the Philadelphia 76ers.
We're going to talk about it from the top down, starting with New Orleans, ending with Boston.
So, New Orleans Pelicans, they locked out.
Yeah, pretty good, considering they only had 6% chance.
Zion Williamson is an absolute animal. He will change the face of change the entire scheme of the NBA even, if he turns out. Is he going to turn out?
That's the real question, though. Is he actually going to turn out? Because he has all the hype, he has all of the fans. All he needs is to follow through.
Yeah, he is set up so well. 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", whatever you want to call him.
Some call him 6'5".
Jump out of the gym vertical. 280 pounds on draft at NBADraft.net. Not sure how reliable that one is. He was 285 at the beginning of the season, and I really don't see him holding on to all that weight throughout the course of a full college season. I don't think that's really necessarily a reliable stat, but you never know.
My real question is, what position is he going to play? Because he's sometimes listed at 6'6", sometimes listed at 6'7", but he's a power forward.
Is he a Draymond Green?
He could be a Draymond Green. He could be even more like a Ben Wallace, where he plays center.
Or will he end up being a shooting guard?
I don't think that's very likely.
No?
I think if...
Do you think he holds on to all that weight during a real NBA season, 82 games long, after an NBA summer, where they're going to expect him to drop weight like crazy? Because NBA doctors know that is not good for your knees?
No, he's definitely not holding on to the weight. He's probably going to lose some, maybe go down to 250.
I think Zion Williamson at 250 is an absolute menace.
Especially if he's all pure muscle still.
The boy is a walking bicep. Like, I don't know what else to say. He goes up, like, you can't stop him. Well, anybody in college couldn't stop him because he was obviously a man amongst boys. So the NBA might be a different story whenever you have LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and guys like Al Horford and Miles Turner meeting him at the rim. I don't know. He'll probably be a menace on the fast break still, but I don't know about his half-court game in the NBA at this point.
He could end up being a lot like Ben Simmons, where he's not a good shooter, he's not reliable, he's really good in the fast break, but he can't play half-court basketball, which is a big problem with Ben Simmons.
Are you saying when you get him in the half-court, he would just be average?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. If real NBA players guard him, there could be a problem for him.
So, who do you have coming at number 2 in Memphis?
I mean, really, the only thing that makes sense for Memphis is to take Ja Morant and restart.
Trade Mike Conley restart?
I don't necessarily know if they have to trade Mike Conley.
But do you want to get something from Mike Conley rather than let him walk next time he's a free agent?
I think what Memphis really needs to do is hold on to Mike Conley until around the trade deadline.
So he mentors Ja for a little while, and then they ship him out for some return to a team that's looking to make a deep postseason run?
The only problem with that would be, is Mike Conley going to play as well as he did this season with a point guard like Ja Morant holding the ball?
Do they play together?
Most of the time, I would say yes.
You would say yes? I see.
Who would you play at shooting guard?
Ja Morant.
You'd play Ja Morant at shooting guard.
Yes.
Why?
6'5", explosive leaper, 175 pounds. He can't play the 3.
Is he a good shooter?
He's not. I wouldn't call Ja Morant a good shooter. I would say he can shoot the ball.
Is he a better playmaker than Mike Conley?
At this point, we haven't seen him in the NBA. At the college level, you would definitely make that argument that he is a better playmaker than Mike Conley currently is. Maybe not a better playmaker than Mike Conley can be with his basketball IQ and his wealth of experience being in the NBA for so long.
I think that's a fair point. But I would also say that Mike Conley is a better shooter, which is what you want from your two. And I think he can play off the ball.
You don't think Ja could play off the ball with his explosive athleticism, backdoor cuts, slashing like D Wade back in his prime?
I'm not saying Ja Morant can't play off ball. What I'm saying is that Mike Conley would play much better off the ball, and Ja Morant needs the ball to get assists, move the ball, score easily.
What would you think of RJ Barrett in Memphis with Mike Conley staying there for the foreseeable future and trying to make the playoffs with Jaren Jackson Jr.?
I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, RJ Barrett, and Mike Conley is a really good team if they can keep it together.
It's a really formidable starting lineup.
Who do they have at small forward? Or shooting guard, depending on where you play RJ.
RJ, I think I'd play RJ at the 2 to start.
Yeah.
I would probably put...
They could sign someone.
They definitely could...
Bojan?
They could look at Bojan. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They also have, what's his name? Porter. Is it Porter? No, Brooks. Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks?
There you go. There's a small forward for you.
I'd say he's more of a 2 guard.
Then put RJ over at the 3. I think you wouldn't really have a problem with that one.
Is RJ 6'7"? Is that what
listed at 6'7"? Yes.
Okay. I think that's like DeMar DeRozan. It's DeMar DeRozan's height. He played small forward most of this year.
Yeah. You can definitely go that way. New York. Who do you think is getting to walk across the stage with a Big Apple hat on their head?
It seems most likely that they'll get RJ Barrett.
It seems.
Well,
6'7", 6'7", 210 pounds. He seems like the total package. Physically ready for the NBA. He's tall enough that he can play the 3 if he needs to. Yeah, I wouldn't never play him at the 4. That's not his game. That's not his style. He can shoot. He is a bona fide bucket getter. There's no questions about that. He is undoubtedly highly rated coming out of Duke University, where he shined with 23 points a game while playing with other 5-star recruits. That's something that you don't normally see, especially one as highly regarded as Zion. You don't normally see someone play alongside the number 1 overall pick and be the leading scorer.
What people don't remember is that RJ was the top prospect coming out of high school.
Absolutely.
He was ahead of Zion. He was ahead of Ja Morant. I don't think many people even heard of Ja Morant before college.
Well, Ja is a sophomore.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he's a sophomore.
Does that affect his draft stock? Making
No.
him a little older?
Not in the least.
No.
I don't believe. No.
I don't think so either.
I think he is NBA ready at this point, and I think now was the time. He definitely was not ready after his first year of university, and I think that he was one of those people that, as a sophomore, really changed some minds and established himself at a mid-major school in Murray State and really put them on the map. But back to RJ Barrett. Do you think that he goes to New York, or do you think that he ends up somewhere else with New York trading that pick or drafting him and then subsequently trading him either on draft night or sometime throughout the summer?
I feel like New York will probably make a trade for RJ. I don't think it will be with the Pelicans, because the Pelicans have expressed
A disinterest in Kevin Knox,
yes,
to say the least.
and he is not what they're looking for. They don't necessarily want him playing with Zion, maybe. That could be part of the problem. They also need to trade RJ Barrett to get some sort of leverage in free agency to maybe get a star like
Kevin Durant,
Kyrie Irving,
Kyrie
both of them.
Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard.
I don't think New York wants Jimmy Butler.
I don't think anybody wants Jimmy Butler. I'm not a Jimmy Butler fan.
I'm fine with you. I think New York will trade to get a mid-level star, someone that will be more NBA ready than RJ Barrett is, depending on how RJ plays at the beginning. But
Do you think he starts the season on New York if he gets drafted there and gets traded later, or do you think he's a summer trade?
I think it will definitely be a summer trade. I don't see RJ ever playing a game in New York.
And now, what about the Lakers?
Really, they're put in a tough spot.
Coming in at number 4, they
Jumped up.
made an ecstatic leap to the number 4 spot, beating out Cleveland, who somehow lost LeBron James and then
Still
got
got the
a
number 5 pick.
worse draft pick than his team. It is very unfortunate for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Los
Do you-
Angeles really needs to figure out what they're going to do with their pick. Are they going to trade it so that LeBron doesn't have to play with a young guy, which he has already expressed disinterest in? Or are they going to keep it and draft someone like Cameron Reddish or Jared Culver? Jared Culver would help because of
Well-
his shooting.
At what point do you think that LeBron asks out of that organization at this point?
I don't think he wants out. I think he's happy where he is. He's in LA. He wants to be in LA, whether that be for the Lakers or not.
Do you think that LeBron really cares about winning anymore in his career? Or do you think he's satisfied with playing out the rest of his career in LA, where he wants to live, where he wants to produce his movies, where he wants to produce his barbershop sitcom, whatever his live action show that he has going on? Do you think that he is really... Do you think basketball is the most important thing in his life right now, to quote himself?
Yes, I do. I think LeBron is focused on basketball still. He's still an amazing basketball player.
Obviously, yes.
I think he still wants to make a run in the playoffs. Obviously, this year he did. I don't think a young player is part of that, though. I don't think he can make a run with a Cameron Reddish or a Jared Culver because they need some firepower on the perimeter. Kyrie Irving can help. Kyrie Irving can also help playmaking, give LeBron a chance to play off ball, which he doesn't normally play.
But it worked in Cleveland.
It did work in Cleveland.
So they have a championship to prove that worked, so I don't think that's an issue. But speaking of Cleveland, who do they pick?
That is a real tough one because I don't think they want to take someone like Kobe White, who is a point guard, or Darius Garland, who is a point guard. Kobe White can play the two, so can Colin Sexton, who played last year primarily at point guard.
I think they had fairly well results with that, so I would say that they're probably going to continue on with that experiment. But in my opinion, I think it's a DeAndre Hunter situation, if he's still available at that point, depending on how the top of the draft goes. Next up is Phoenix. Do you think that they finally figure something out this year and they make a good decision on this with this pick?
I think depending on who Cleveland takes will really affect how Phoenix drafts. Because if Cleveland doesn't take Kobe White, then Phoenix might.
Phoenix needs to take a point guard in this draft. They need to get Devin Booker some help.
I think we can all agree on that.
They have TJ Warren. They have the recently arrested Josh Jackson,
Sure.
Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. They just need a point guard.
I think
They have
DeAndre Ayton
so
was
many wings.
really good. I think DeAndre Ayton was really good last year. He just never got the ball enough because they didn't move the ball enough. He could have been
They
Rookie of the
didn't
Year.
have a point guard to get him the ball.
That is true.
If you get yourself a guard that's going to put it into the post, that's going to run the floor for you to get it into the post, playing inside out through DeAndre Ayton might be the best thing for Phoenix. He's old school. He can step out. He has a mid-range jumper. He's working on that three-pointer. He might have that by next year. He's not as mobile as you would like a stretch 5, but you know what? Neither is Brook Lopez, but he still takes it hard to the rack.
Yeah.
Next up, Chicago.
What Chicago really needs is a guy that can shoot the ball or move the ball. Because much like Phoenix, they don't really have a great point guard.
Chris Dunn.
He's not what they need for the future. Chris Dunn's had plenty of time to prove himself, and he hasn't done too well.
I think Chris Dunn is a bona fide bust at this point in his career.
I wouldn't really call him a bust because he still had a decent NBA career so far. He could be a bust when Chicago drafts a point guard and they no longer need him.
I think he would be a great sixth man for them, depending on who else that they end up with over the summer. But he could be the first or second guy off the bench, come in, while the other team's starting point guard's still on, and guard them, give him a little bit of work. 'Cause he's still a great defender. He can't put the ball in the hoop, but he's a good defender, and that's worth something. I think he'll definitely still earn minutes. He'll probably play, I would say, between 15 and 18 a game behind someone. I assume that Chicago should probably draft a point guard at this point.
Darius Garland.
Darius Garland may still be available at that spot, so that might be something that they look at. And Atlanta is next.
Before we move on, I think the other option for Chicago, besides a point guard, is maybe a big man center who can stretch the floor. Maybe look for a backup bench guy in a center, because they have.
Are you looking at Jackson Hayes in this situation? Out of Texas?
That could be a pretty decent option, considering he can play both the power forward and the center position, much like Wendell Carter Jr. So, depending on who turns out to be better, you can make your decisions on if you want to trade one of them, if you want to keep them both and rotate.
They may play really well together. You never know.
It's kind of like Larry Marketing came in halfway through the year after an injury,
Yeah.
and he played pretty good. So what do you want to do beside him? Do you want to play him at the center? Do you want to play him at the power forward?
I think he's a power forward. His frame, his mobility is a little more well suited to be a power forward, I think, rather than a center. He doesn't have a whole lot of rim protecting qualities that you still need in a center. Because right now the call for centers is to be very dynamic, and that they want them to be able to shoot the ball, but they don't want to give up any rim protection, and they don't want to give up their help defense like that.
I think they really want to keep Larry Marketing to play like Dirk Nowitzki.
Do
He can be a great.
Do you think they may be the one to take a chance on Hachimura there?
I don't
or do you
think
think
they want
that's
another
too
wing.
high?
I don't think they want another guy to play the wing or play
Who do they have on the wing? Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine. That's all they need on the wing.
You need two wings, brother.
Then take DeAndre Hunter.
Okay, that's if he's still available.
I don't want Rui Hachimura in Chicago.
All right. What would you say to Nasir Little?
That's kind of a big risk, because if he doesn't turn out in like the
And he
first
might
2
not.
or 3 years, then there could be a problem. He could be a bit of a bust, even though he's at pick 7.
And do you think that somebody may take an early chance on the kid out of France?
The young gun.
The young gun, Sekou Doumbia.
I
Probably mispronouncing that, but
I think
I'm
it's
not sure.
Doumbia. I'm not sure. He's young. He's really young.
like Giannis Young.
Not anymore.
Well,
But
when he came into the league, obviously.
yes. He won't be turning 19 until December, which is a big plus.
It is a big plus. He's still, if he's showing you this much potential early on, and he has that much time to work, and if he has a work ethic like the Greek Freak, what could possibly go wrong? You have so much time.
He could be the France phenom. You never know.
Never say that again. And unfortunately, that is all the time we had today for the NBA draft, and we will be right back with a chat about Kawhi Leonard. So, Kawhi Leonard, the beast in the East, arguably the best player so far in these playoffs. He's done arguably the most for his team if they go to the finals. If they win the finals, there's no question that he would be finals MVP. Do you think that impacts whether or not he stays?
I think Kawhi, him staying is a long shot. Him making the finals is an even longer shot. Because if he even does make it past Giannis and the Bucks, he's got to face the Warriors.
The Juggernaut Warriors.
The Juggernaut.
That you can take out 2 All-Stars from. And guess what? They're still going to beat you.
They're arguably a better team.
Arguably a better team without 2 All-Stars. That is scary. They have a thin bench, but their starters, even without their 2 All-Stars, are still better. Good enough. Better enough to get the job done. But do you think they even get to the finals? They're down 2-0 to Milwaukee.
I don't think they make it past Milwaukee. I think they're in a position where if they go down 3-0, then
What are the odds of them going down 3-0?
78%.
Specifically 78?
Yes.
I think it is a very high percentage as well. I wouldn't say 78. I would say more like
96.
maybe not 96, but I am a huge fan of the Bucks. Huge fan of Giannis Antetokounmpo and everything that he does on the court. And I believe that that Bucks team, they want it. You watch them play, they're diving on the floor, they're taking charges, they're playing defense. They're playing great defense. They rotate almost better than I've ever seen any team rotate on defense. And they just overwhelm you. They get out on the fast break, and you cannot stop them. Their bench players come in, they're making the right passes, they're taking charges, they're passing the ball to Giannis, and he's dunking it on people. How do you stop that?
I don't think there's a way to stop it. You look at the series against Boston, they lost game 1, and then they swept them.
Yeah, the gentleman sweep after game 1.
Yep. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they had Brogdon that whole series.
They had him for game 5.
Game 5?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think he impacted the game too much.
He scored like five or 6 points or something.
On very efficient shooting.
Well, obviously he's not a guy that's going to walk out there and take a ton of shots ever.
No.
But he's going to make his shots.
And he's going to try. Even though he's just coming off an injury, he's coming on minutes restrictions, and he's not even starting.
Yeah, he's still coming off the bench.
Is arguably a good thing for the Bucks because they still have a starting lineup of guys that can shoot threes and Giannis. And either way,
absolutely.
if Brogdon is in there or not, they still got that. And if Brogdon is on the bench, good. Plenty of scoring on the bench.
Their bench is... Okay, we're talking about Milwaukee too much. I know they're good. And it's hard not to talk about them, but it seems like everybody else is talking about Kawhi and the Raptors. These playoffs have really been about the teams that the Bucks have been playing, but not about the Bucks, because the Bucks just make them look silly, and it makes everybody think there's something wrong with them. But Detroit, not a playoff team.
No.
In a lot of years, they would not be a playoff team. They got lucky. Boston, not a 4 seed.
Arguably not even a top 5 seed.
Like, in the right situation, that team would be a great team. But the Bucks dismantled them because they didn't have it together. They weren't together. Coaching-wise, they had one of the best coaches, but he failed. Your job is to get your boys together, and his boys weren't together.
We're still talking about the Bucks side too much.
And now back to Toronto.
Toronto had a very, I don't want to say easy first round, but it was a very easy first round for the Raptors.
The Orlando Magic with Nikola Vukovic that could not buy a bucket the entire season. Not the entire season, the entire postseason,
They
sorry.
really guarded him. They got up on him and
Marcus,
they had no
Marcus
other
All
scoring.
destroyed him. Like, I really don't know what else to say. Marcus All made him look silly, and in the next round, he made Joel Embiid look silly at some points.
They were not afraid to double team Vucevic.
No, because nobody else on the Magic can score.
You may
Who
have
do
a
they
good
have?
game for DJ Augustin. If correct me if I'm wrong.
He had
the
a
Magic did
good first
win
game.
Game 1.
Yes.
So that was kind of a surprise.
I really don't think Toronto makes it to the next round. And I think that is enough for Kawhi Leonard to be like, I'm out.
I think Kawhi really got into the fans' heads when he made that shot against Philly.
They were like, he's staying home. He's staying home. He had a kid here. He made that shot. He's staying home.
He's not leaving. He's good. He's good
But
here.
do you
He's
know
gonna
what?
win.
He's going home.
He's going home to LA.
He's not going to stay in Toronto, because if he wanted to stay in Toronto, he should stay in Toronto.
It'd be great for the league.
It would be great for Canadian basketball, but should he stay in Toronto, how many years do they have of winning? Kawhi Leonard became Kawhi Leonard on the Spurs, an organization that prioritizes winning over all else.
Yeah.
Do you think that runs deep in Kawhi? I think it does.
I think Kawhi is always looking for a win.
He's just looking. He's doing whatever he can to get a win.
And I don't think the team that is built around him is good enough for that.
He does not have help. If you watch the games, if Kawhi goes off the court, it is scary.
They all
How-
fall apart.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is, if they're just looking for Kawhi to lean on him because they know how good he is, or if they just are not confident in themselves because of all the talk of Kawhi and how he's the backbone. And do you think that they're just weighed down on that?
I think Nick Nurse is part of the problem. Because
He can't build a rotation.
he tries to play Kawhi way too much, and I'm not 100% sure. I don't know Nick Nurse, but I assume that he's telling the Raptors to give the ball to Kawhi. Let him run the offense.
Well, you would be stupid not to run your offense through Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, based on the results they're in the third round of the playoffs. Like,
Sure.
they're not. It's not like they're
We're in
messing
the
up real
conference
bad.
finals.
They're in the conference finals, but you cannot rely solely on one guy. You have to have every time a team makes a surprise run. Do you know what it is?
It's their support.
It's the support. Like your best players, they're gonna show up. They're gonna give you the 30 in the playoffs that they're gonna score. They're gonna give you 10 rebounds, 4 assists, whatever they get. But it's about the bench guys and the role players that step up. They make big shots whenever it's the right decision for that star player to pass the ball. They got to pass it to a guy they know is going to make that shot. Who on Toronto is going to make that shot?
I would say Pascal Siakam, but he's been very lackluster this playoffs. Afraid to take a shot, 0 for 7 from the corner 3 in that game. It was rough.
He had a very good first round, you could say. The second round was not as spectacular, but his play against the Bucks, devastatingly underwhelming. Game 2, fouled out 6 points. Only in the third quarter. Can't keep him on the floor if he's not going to stay out of foul trouble. What do you do with him?
I mean, the problem is they don't have anyone to guard Giannis, and when you put Pascal on him, I don't think it's working, and I don't think Serge Ibaka is going to be much better.
I really don't believe anybody coming into this series. There was talk that Toronto can guard Giannis. They have Serge, they have Marc Gasol, they have Pascal Siakam. They can throw guys at him, build that wall like Boston tried to do in the first game. It did very well, but couldn't replicate it in any other game for some reason. And now, if you watch a Bucks Raptors game, where's that wall? They're not throwing guys at him. If they double him, he's moving the ball quickly. Their doubles are poorly timed with not the players that you want to be doubling. You need long, athletic people to double Giannis because he is long and athletic, and he is longer and more athletic than anybody on Toronto.
What you really got to do is you got to fight fire with fire, and you can't fight fire with fire when you don't have fire. Giannis is fire. Where's the Raptors' fire?
Kawhi Leonard is mucho fire.
But not at the position to guard Giannis.
But if Giannis guards Kawhi,
There's a
Giannis
problem.
can guard Kawhi.
Yeah.
Kawhi doesn't guard Giannis.
No.
Not only because it's too much energy expended because he has to be working on offense, but defensively, Giannis can just go over the top of a 6'7" guy. There's no question. Those 4 inches with the length, I don't care how long Kawhi Leonard's wingspan is.
He is long, though.
Big hands, long wingspan, but
Doesn't matter.
Giannis can eat him up.
People call Kawhi the Claw because he has big hands. He has long arms. But people...
Giannis got big hands too.
Giannis got longer arms and bigger hands.
This dude is big, and this kind of turned from the
Kawhi
Leonard segment to the Giannis Antetokounmpo segment, and that's all right because Giannis is my favorite player.
I don't think Kawhi's staying.
My definitive answer to this question: Kawhi Leonard leaves.
The only thing...
Where is he going?
The only thing I can say about Kawhi is if they get swept right now, he's gone. He's out.
If Toronto gets swept, he is gone 110%.
And we'll be right back with a section on the future of the Philadelphia 76ers.
So what do you think the Philadelphia 76ers are supposed to do in this situation?
Well, really, they just got to look at the 4 main players. Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. what do they do with each of them? Does
Well-
Jimmy leave? Does Ben Simmons get traded? Does Tobias Harris leave or resign? And what do they do with Joel Embiid?
Do you think they want Jimmy back? They gave away a lot to get him. Big pieces of their organization.
I think what they really wanted to do is go for a playoff run now, and what I think is a little underrated is they cleared up a lot of cap space. With that
True,
move.
they have a lot of money coming off of the books this season. Could they be making a run at one of the big stars?
I think Kevin Durant would work, but there's some questions about where he's going.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a future episode for sure. But do you think Jimmy Butler is a 76er next season?
I cannot see Philadelphia bringing back Jimmy Butler after what seems to be a tweet about Jimmy Butler leaving. He thanked Jimmy.
He did thank the organization
Yeah.
and the young players that he had around him. It seems like that was some sort of a send-off. But do you think maybe in a situation where Jimmy Butler knows more about next season, do you think he considers staying if a Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid is no longer in the picture?
I don't see the 76ers moving on from Joel. I can definitely see them moving on from Ben Simmons in a possible trade scenario for Anthony Davis, maybe.
Do you think Anthony Davis and Joel work together?
That's the real question. Is Joel Embiid going to be able to defer to another big man who is actually a big man, unlike Tobias Harris, who is
But
a stretch forward kind of guy,
the
can
real
drive?
question is, if the Philadelphia 76ers traded for Anthony Davis, would he and Joel Embiid ever be healthy at the same point in time?
I don't think there was a lot of health issues for Anthony Davis this year.
He had not necessarily big injuries, but a lot of nagging little injuries that held him out. He had a broken finger, I know that.
Yeah.
He had maybe a knee issue or a back issue, I don't remember quite clearly. And Joel has constantly, since he entered the league, been a walking injury.
I think Joel is going to be fine as long as he stays in shape, because that is what some people are talking about. He's out of shape.
He is a shape, but he is not in shape. That is for sure. And I know, like, there's a lot of work that goes in to being an NBA player,
Especially a big man.
especially a big man, to keep that size of a body healthy, for one thing. And I think that maybe one thing that would help him stay healthy would be to take some weight off those knees and ankles and his feet, as he's had some injuries in the past, that back as well.
I think what's kind of scary is Joel Embiid is good now when he's out of shape. And
Yeah, what
I think
could-
he can
what
only
could-
be better.
What could Joel Embiid be?
He could be a lot more like Kareem.
He could be.
He is very tall, very long.
Have you seen Joel Embiid in college?
I've never seen Joel in college.
Skinny, kind of like Kevin Garnett kind of body type. And I honestly think that might be the way that he needs to go back to. I know it's a lot of work to be lean and long again after what he is now, bulky, and he's strong, but bulky and like a higher body fat percentage. But
Yeah.
I think a long and lean Joel is one of the scariest things that could happen to the NBA.
I don't know necessarily if Joel himself wants to be small, because I think he kind of likes bullying other players in the paint.
But he
and
doesn't do
pushing
that
on them.
enough.
If he did, he could be a lot better.
If he played some bully ball, he would be a better player.
If he used his body to his advantage, especially since he's big, and what some people would say out of shape, I would call Nikola Jokic out of shape, but he's still a very good player
Exactly.
who pushes around.
Exactly.
And that is what Joel Embiid should be.
Use that weight and leverage to your advantage.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris, is he coming back?
I think one of the things I think could happen is Tobias Harris coming back, and then he's getting traded with Ben Simmons to possibly New Orleans.
That would be an interesting trade scenario.
I don't necessarily think that New Orleans would want Ben Simmons to play with Zion, because they're kind of similar players, like I mentioned before. But Tobias Harris could be an interesting acquisition.
He would work with a Zion Williamson, and perhaps you maybe see a 3-team trade where you have another team throwing draft picks and assets New Orleans way for them to get Ben Simmons and then Tobias Harris move over to New Orleans, and Anthony Davis and maybe some salary cap fillers move over to Philly because they have all that cap space.
I don't 100% know if the Pelicans would be all in on trading for Tobias when they could just sign him, like any normal
Exactly.
team.
It would have to be a sign and trade for Tobias Harris this
Yep.
summer, or rather, because once he signs, he can't be traded for a certain number of days. I believe 30 days or 60 days. So it would have to be a sign and trade specifically, because if he is just signed outright, that may not be something that another team is interested in waiting to get a trade done for Tobias Harris.
And on that note, I think that is all the time we have for today.
Thank you very much for tuning into the first episode of the 3&D podcast.
Hope you have a fantastic day.